I'm thalassemia, I feel like a normal person and get on with my life.
I'm thalassemia and I feel very normal.
Because I don't know any different, having thalassemia to me has become a way of life. I've gone through various stages in my life where I've absolutely hated it, and I think that was a lot in my earlier days. In adolescence, it was really, really hard getting used to having thalassemia because none of my friends were doing what I was doing. But whereas when I was growing older, you kind of come to terms with it. You know it forms part of your identity, and you just try and make the most of what isn't a brilliant situation, but you don't have any choice because the choice is actually death otherwise.
Personally, I've come to a point where I came to a point a long time back where I found the balance between being a thalassemic and being a non-thalassemic. There are others that haven't found that balance yet. There are others that play being a thalassemic, you know, and use it to affect on certain things. But at the end of the day, you have to accept responsibility of what you are and who you are, and then make the best of your surroundings, of your life, and go out and be what you can be.
She doesn't want to have, you know, the injection in front of other people, and because now she's growing, she's nearly 5. She has that thinking that I'm not a normal child, but we want to have as a normal, because when she will grow up, she will be fully confident in her life, and she can do anything.
It affects my life in that it takes my time. There was a time when it used to affect me in terms of emotionally, and there's physical pain of doing the needles and so on, but you become used to that over time.
During my teenage years, I probably thought about it a lot more. Obviously, you know, you're growing up, you're at your secondary school, start getting into girls, and you know, you're a bit more self-conscious. But it wasn't too difficult. I just kept it to myself and tried to live a normal life, really.
It affects my life now as an adult in that I have to leave work to go to the hospital, or now I have to arrange childcare while I'm at the hospital, or take Kira to the hospital with me. So it does affect my life. I'd much rather come home and do something else or go out with my friends rather than sit in a hospital. But at the end of the day, it's once every 3 weeks.
I don't mind being a thalassemia patient, but it's we have to go to hospital every 4 weeks, and every night you have to infuse yourself with a medicine called Desferol, and you have to infuse it for 12 hours. And sometimes it's really hard because you can't put it in yourself, and you need someone to push you down to put it in. But it's quite alright. When I've had my new blood, I feel really fresh and I have more energy to do things I enjoy. And because when I don't have blood, it's just I don't have the strength to do something. So when I have it, it's just really more energetic and happy, and people think that, oh, she's got now new blood, and she's good.
When we start, the injection, she said, I don't want to have that because I don't like the needle. I said, no, beta, you have to have that because this is your requirement, and that's it.
We have to be really strict, and if we say to her, you're having it and that's it, whatever happens, whether she's screaming, shouting, kicking, which happens, then we still put the needle in because we've got to make sure that she has it. She needs it to keep alive.
The treatment now has improved tremendously from when I was a child. It's manageable. And I think that's the thing for me about thalassemia, which is really important, that as long as you do your treatment, you will be okay.
Sometimes it's difficult putting the injections and saying, oh, this is the pain I'm getting and stuff like that. But now I've got just used to putting myself on time, having the vitamin C.
I wanted to rebel against the system, if you will. You know, when you're young, that's what you do. And not doing the treatment was easier than putting yourself through doing the painful injections, attending the appointments, and you know, it was a lot easier to be out of that and just ignore it. But thankfully, my parents were there to make sure that it didn't have a detrimental impact on me. And I think there was an element of growing up that needed to be done, and that was the time that I did grow up. I just remember just looking to the future and, you know, keeping in mind that just having medical treatment isn't the be-all and end-all of my life, and wanting to aspire to make a difference and be an active contributing part of society.
They do have other treatments which they have to go through, like having the Desferol, which is a 12-hour injection 5 nights a week, which we train our children to do by themselves, so they're independent for it.
Going to hospital for me when I have blood transfusions is just a pretty simple procedure, I guess. I go there and they check my cross match, check my blood, give me blood, and I know all the people. It's like a family. We all know each other. We're really good friends, and like there are people my age, and I don't feel like I'm on my own. Like if I have problems, I have people to talk to, and all the nurses and the doctors are really, really nice. When I move on to be independent and when I grow up, it will be a bit harder, because I won't have my parents asking me when have I taken my medicine, or booking my blood transfusions, or remembering everything. So I'll have to do that on my own, which will be new and it will be hard.
I can see why people find it difficult to do their pump or their infusers, because how many times can you put a needle in and it's a lump, it's rock solid in your tummy and it hurts? Why would you want to put a needle in that tummy? And so sort of as it goes on and on, you stop to do your treatment, but it's really simple. There are just 2 choices: you either live or you die. And I think I've seen people that kid themselves, that think, well, but I'm different, I'll be okay. There's nobody that's different. If you don't do your treatment, you will die. And I've seen that happen to friends at the hospital. I've seen that happen to my brother. It really is simple. And it's not a case of if, it's going to be when. So for some patients, they get away with no treatment, you know, for a year, some maybe for longer, but the end result will be the same. So I think that life is good, and you can have life and do your treatment, and it's okay. People die of lots of other things, so why would you want to die of thalassemia?
My parents never let me feel sorry for myself, ever. And they always encouraged me to keep healthy and do the pump and exercise and go to school, and you know, not to miss school like I am now. I think maybe I got my discipline from my parents. It was, you know, I don't miss work to go and have a blood transfusion. Likewise, I never miss school to have a blood transfusion. So we always, thalassemia on my health obviously was the most important thing, but we never let it take over our lives. It's great that I have support from my wife, and she's very interested in thalassemia as well. And that's important, because sometimes, you know, we're all human. You maybe forget taking your tablets, or you don't want to do a treatment this month, or you don't want to have your, you know, your MRI scan or something. But she's always there to give me a nudge and encouragement. So that's very helpful.
My mum and dad treat me like I'm a normal child, and they don't really put too much thalassemia involvement in it.
We don't like to make our children feel as if they have got an illness, because, you know, as adults we can actually focus on how you speak to someone with an illness. But as a child communicating with a child, if one child knows that they are really, really sick, and that's how they portray the image to another child, they will automatically be prejudiced to them. So, you know, we wanted to avoid that.
It's not easy here with thalassemia. It's always like, now I'm thinking about the age. Fatima is 15 now. She's going through that age where sometimes they don't want to accept what they have. Thinking, oh, everybody's normal and we have to go transfusion and we have to do the Desferol.
My mum treats me as a son. She thinks I'm special, and I think she's special to me as well.
People with thalassemia shouldn't think that it's a huge burden on them, and your parents especially, they might want to protect you, and it might seem like they're out to let you down or not let you do things because of it, but actually there's a lot you can do, and my parents especially are really aware of that, and they let me do it whatever I want.
I just recently had a party for my 40th, and it just gave me an opportunity to just reflect that although there are so many kind of hard things with having thalassemia, one of the good things that's come out is that I've really been able to nurture my friendships, because I've really learned that, you know, your health is important, but if you don't have your family and friends with you on that journey, it's actually an isolating journey, and you don't have anything to work for in terms of doing your treatment. And so having that good support network actually means that, you know, you've got a goal, you've got an outcome that you're working towards, and you know that if you don't do your treatment, actually it's them that's going to suffer.
The first thought that probably comes across someone's mind who's met me and they find out that I have thalassemia and I need regular blood transfusions and treatment is probably pity, and that's something that I really don't like. I don't like anyone pitying me, and as nobody would.
When I tell them I have to go to hospital every 4 weeks, and they're like, you know, why? They kind of don't like kind of believe me, but then once I had like pictures of my whole team at a hospital and stuff, and then they started believing, and now it's like they cooperate. When I tell them I'm going to go to hospital next Monday, they're like, oh, hope it goes well, and you know, hope it's better. When I come back, they were like, oh, you've gone really red, and you know, you're more not pale in the face, and they get more happy.
First off, I never hide that I have thalassemia, because eventually everybody will find out, and that's just me, who I am. People understand that it's not just thalassemia, it's a person. When people first hear about it, they look at you and they wonder how you manage living with thalassemia. But I guess as they look on and they realize that you're normal about it, they don't judge you any other way. But of course you will find people who would look at you like a vampire, which is one of my nicknames. But they soon overcome it. Sometimes I get like, why does people ignore me just because I've got thalassemia? Why does people just bully me because I've got thalassemia? But I try and explain them what I have, why I have it, and more of the reasons that they need to know. But they just don't get it, and then just say, oh man, this boy's a wimp. Who cares about him? And just like that. But then after a few weeks, they get over it and they start hanging out, and then, you know, then we make friends, and then we have nice times together. And, yeah.
While I was growing up, I didn't tell people because I assumed it would affect the way people treated me or thought of me, or, you know, would feel sorry for me. So I think I kept it to myself and to my very close family and friends. And but I think that was a misjudgment on my part, because, you know, ever since I have been telling people, people have, you know, treated me normally. They still treat me like one of my friends treat me like one of the boys, and no one feels sorry for me. And I think that's partly also because I try and lead a normal life.
Out of the whole world, we're the special girls and the boys, but in different ways. In different ways, obviously.
Sometimes it's swimming. It's like, you know, when it's the last week of transfusion, when I'm really needing blood, that week I can't actually go swimming, and it's like sometimes I'm like, you know, I really want to go, but it's like I'm so tired, don't have the energy to go. So I suppose it's sometimes last weeks that I get a bit tired.
I think while I was at school, before I'd had my splenectomy, my spleen removed, I wasn't able to play rugby and football in case it ruptured. So it definitely stopped me growing up. I think once I had my spleen removed, it sort of opened the gate for me, and I just did everything after that. And I still try and keep active. I just got back from a skiing holiday, which was amazing. I used to race go-karts. I used to play football at school. Oh, and I recently ran a marathon, well, a couple of years ago. I completed a marathon, so yeah, it's been okay for me.
There's nothing you can't do. You might think, yeah, I might not be able to do this because I'm thalassaemic. Maybe I shouldn't try this. Maybe I shouldn't try that. But seriously, get out there and try it because you'll enjoy it. You can do it, and there's nothing stopping you.
Me and my brother grew up fighting and getting clobbered and all the rest, doing exactly the same as everything. Wasn't wrapped in cotton wool or anything. So whenever someone said to me, you can't do that or you shouldn't do that, it's like a red flag to a ball. It just wouldn't work. So that's it. And that is it. It is just attitude. It's the belief that you can do such things. You can do anything you want. We had a guy running the marathon, thalassaemic running the marathon. We've got lawyers, doctors, engineers, thieves, all sorts. And they're all thalassemics, and they're no different from anybody else out there in the world.
There's no such word as can't, so no, it hasn't stopped me doing anything I've wanted to do. It might take me longer or it might be harder, but yes, I went to Australia and did my pump on my own. I've been skiing. I've done things I've done more things than some of my friends that don't have thalassemia have done.
My parents, growing up, never allowed me to feel sorry for myself, so anything that I wanted to do sports-wise or anything was allowed. In fact, I would come home dressed as a boy with bandages all over my knees from rollerblading down hills and biking and everything, so it didn't really restrict me.
Well, one way in which it affects me is when I have blood transfusions, I have to miss school. So I have to catch up with homework. But other than that, just taking my medicine. And my life's the same.
It's like I really need that blood. And if I don't get it, then it's like, I can't do anything. The last weeks, my teacher says, you need to take it a bit easy, don't do too much work. But obviously you can't just stop all the work with your blood. But normally I can cope with it.
Some teachers, they're really supportive, and if you hand in your work a little bit late, maybe you were ill or you had to have a blood transfusion. Some teachers are nice, and they'll say, yeah, you can give it in next week or whatever. But some teachers, they don't really understand the effects of thalassemia, and they don't know how much extra stuff you have to do.
I've just experienced it because I'm applying for colleges. And one of the colleges that I really want to go to is like really close by, and I applied to it, and they sent me back a letter saying that your attendance is really poor. Obviously it's because of my problem. I have to go to hospital every month, and so I tried to explain to them, but they didn't. They said the school didn't give enough reasons of why she was absent. And so I told Natalie Lawson from the hospital to write me a letter, and she wrote a letter and she sent it to the college, and they sent it back saying we're sorry that we didn't know about your medication because the school never told us, and I'm sure you'll have a place. It doesn't matter about what medication problem you have. It's about how hard you can work.
I went to university sort of in West London, so I wasn't too far away from home. So although I stayed during the week, I used to come home weekends to see my mum and dad because that's what I wanted to do. But I think even if I'd gone further away, it wouldn't have been a problem, providing I was sensible and used my treatment. So I still stayed there. I still lived the uni life, the student life. Didn't get up till midday most of the time, partied till 4 or 5. The same old thing. But so it wasn't a difficult transition.
When I was a child, having thalassemia, I think, meant that everybody around me was just so overprotective. At school, the school thought, no, she's never going to perform, she's never going to do well academically. I had a lot of bone problems along with the thalassemia, and there were spaces of time where I was away from school for about 6 months. I had operations. But my grandparents and my parents never, ever allowed me to use that as an excuse. And for them, the only way out of everything was to get an education. So yeah, I did. I went on, did my GCSEs, my A-levels, my degree. And that gave me a real sense of liberation.
At school, I think it was probably a disadvantage. There were a lot of situations where it was a lot easier for teachers to kid glove handle me. But moving forward, it's quite strange. Moving forward into my forward in my education, going from school to college, it got better, and then college to university, it was excellent. At university, I had a really good time. I really did well, I think, at university. I read a degree in computer systems engineering, which thoroughly enjoyed, and did a year in industry with Hewlett-Packard as well. And at the end of that, I got some really good core skills, which put me in really good stead for my job, which I'm doing at the moment.
I don't have many memories of it affecting me at school, other than I couldn't do PE very well, but I still took part in the lessons. I just was rubbish at it. I got through college, I went to university, and I passed, which was, again, wow, I qualified, and now I work in HR, and I'm quite a senior person in HR, which again is, thalassemia hasn't held me back. I don't think thalassemia is an excuse for not achieving.
About the future, I would like to go to college. I'm going to go next year for 2 years, and then go to university and study pharmacy, and I'd like to become a pharmacist.
Well, I want to be a doctor, and I see people in hospital every month, and I want to help, and I really enjoy the medical side of everything. I take a great interest in it. Like, I like to cannulate myself, and when I was younger, when I used to have Desferal, I used to inject myself, and like, okay, it's a bit weird, but you get used to it, and I do want. That's definitely what I want to do.
I think the only thing with thalassemia that may affect your performance at work would be your tiredness. So towards the end of when you're due for your blood, I think you feel physically and mentally tired, and that's a normal thing for a thalassaemic patient. But me personally, I am aware of it, and yes, I do feel tired when I'm due for my blood, but I try and not let it affect me too much at work. I don't know whether my boss notices or anything, but I hope not.
I was really, really lucky because they believed that I could do the job, and they didn't treat me according to my thalassemia. And that was really important. But what I learned from that whole process was it's actually how you present thalassemia yourself. Because if you think of it as an illness, then actually that's the message that you're giving out to others. Where if you think of it as something that you've just got to get on with, yes, once a month you're going to hospital for your blood transfusions, yes, you have some treatment afterwards, then I think it helps other people actually understand it as well.
It can't be said that it doesn't impact work at all, but I've learnt to use the fact that I have to manage my time effectively all the time as a plus point in interviews. There is that element of, I'm a resource which isn't there all the time because I have to take time off for treatment. But there is also the fact that they know I'm hardworking enough to be able to cover the absences and to do a very good job.
In all my positions, in any job that I've had, I've never had a problem with being thalassaemic. Normally the question has been, is there any medical conditions we should worry about? I say to them, I'm a thalassemic, and really that's the best thing, because most people don't know what it is, so they've got no preconceptions, so I can tell them exactly what I can and what I can't do, and then they hire me on my abilities and not because I'm a thalassemic or I'm not a thalassemic.
Why not? Everyone does it, so yeah, having a family is cool.
I want to be a pharmacist, same as my sister. And and I want to go to a nice college and a nice university, get graduated and have a nice family.
I don't exclude the possibility, or well, maybe even look forward to settling down at some point, maybe starting a family, having a relationship and getting married. Those sort of things I do look forward to, and I don't exclude them out of my mind. So I hope to live a long and fruitful life and be a very annoying granddad at some point.
I've always wanted to have a family and had kids. I love kids. And yes, I would love to have my own one day. I've just recently got married, so that's the first step on the ladder. And I'm enjoying married life at the moment. We're having a lot of fun and, you know, holidays and experiences lovely. And then hopefully within the next couple of years, then maybe consider starting a family. But yes, it's something I've always wanted.
Got married twice. I'm a grandpa as well. So yeah, doesn't stop. And you've probably interviewed lots of thalassemics with kids now.
I had a really great pregnancy. Having thalassemia and being pregnant means that you don't have to have any of your treatment apart from blood transfusions. So in that respect, that was great. But the downside to that is obviously iron then starts to accumulate because you're not collating. So for me, towards the very end of my pregnancy, I had a few complications, but actually not to do with the pregnancy. I still delivered by cesarean and stayed in hospital for a little bit. And after that, you pick up your treatment. 20 months later, I'm fine. So it is possible. It's hard, but it's possible.